spiritual realm.
Yes.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.
So let's just say that I make my own simulation. GOAD Podcast.
GOAD Podcast. Welcome back to GOAD. It's been a few weeks since we've seen you.
GOAD.
GOAD. GOAD. We're experimenting. We have Facebook Live going on. We got Jared via satellite. We got all kinds of. This is nuts.
Janky.
Well, I was going.
Janky.
Yeah, it's janky.
It's janky.
It's janky. Look at that. This is Jared. That's he's the one on the right or left or whatever, depending on which way you're facing.
It's the right face.
It's the right face.
The right face. So yeah, we are live on Facebook, and we got Jared on satellite. We're gonna try to put a watch party on
GOAD.
On our GOAD here.
You know, the charm of this podcast is that we don't know what we're doing.
Right.
That's part of the charm. We
should have just done it on this one.
Well,
I need access, bro.
You got access.
I don't got access.
I totally sent you the.
No, you sent me the thing, but I don't have access to that one. We'll figure it out later.
Oh, we'll figure it out later.
Share it on your Facebook page.
That's cool. I'll load it later, right?
All right.
Here we go.
So.
And there's Jared.
There's Jared.
Hello. Say hello, Jared. Say hello, Jared.
Hello.
Buenos
In the
no.
middle of the riots, here I am.
That's Jared Stratton reporting to us live from the riots. Hey, Jared, what's going on, buddy?
A whole lot of people.
A whole lot of people. Dude, yesterday my sister...
all I've heard today is that everything is friendly so far. That's what I've heard. Don't know the truth.
It's a hug riot.
That's good.
Give me a hug.
My sister had something on her Instagram showing the Anaheim protest. Going through her street on Citron. Right there in Anaheim and Broadway. They looked pretty peaceful. They didn't do anything bad over there.
No, that's good. Antifa's there?
Dude.
Everybody?
Antifa's probably everywhere, dude.
Yeah, they're being bussed in. Professional, what do you call them? Professional rioters.
Yeah. Professional paid rioters. It's exactly what they're called. What else would you call them?
I would call them professional rioters. Oh, low battery. 20%. All right, Jared, hang on, buddy. Hang on.
We're good.
That's all right.
Hey, Jared.
Yes, buddy.
Judgment, man. Judgment. What are we talking about? Judgment. We're
talking about flood stories.
Stories.
Rain on my face.
Rain on my face. It hasn't stopped raining for days.
So how long did it rain for?
Jars of clay, man. Woo! 40 days, 40 nights. And that's not indigenous to the Judeo-Christian Bible. That is a multicultural phenomenon.
Yeah, I was looking it up, and there's all kinds of records of different of floods, of a worldwide flood.
Yeah, every major civilization throughout time has had a diluvian myth story.
Right.
Right, Jared?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that to be true. Which only proves that it is true.
Here's what we haven't heard, and that is that every civilization known to man has had a meteor kills all the dinosaur story. See, we don't have that.
But everybody wants to believe it.
But that's what they want to believe.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to believe. I mean, I'm not afraid to believe that a big meteor maybe was part of the flood. Like, the heavens opened up, the ground opened up, a lot of things happened.
Yeah, a bunch of things happened.
It was a violent
Right, I'm sure
event.
Volcanic activity happened.
Yep. I mean, talk about a violent event. You got water coming up from underneath. You got water coming down from on top. 40 days and 40 nights it rains and floods above the tallest peak.
Yeah. How far up? I think
I don't even know. What was the tallest peak then?
I don't know, but it was obviously enough to drown everybody. For nobody to.
Dude, everybody and everything except for the fishes.
Except for the fish?
Yep. Fishes?
Fishes. No.
No?
It's plural is just fish.
It's fish?
Fish. So, yeah, but, I mean, think of it. It didn't rain prior to that at all.
Right.
God opened up or tore the canopy of water that was above
the expanse.
The expanse in the heavens. Not the heavens, but the heavens, which is the sky. And God said, I gotta wipe these people out. They're too sick.
Right.
Their hearts are far from me.
Which is theoretically the water that was above the expanse created an environment, theoretically, that was hyper oxygenated. That's why the animals grew so big.
And it blocked all of the cosmic rays that so because before the flood, everybody lived to like thousands of years old.
Right.
And then once the flood happened, 120.
And then dinosaurs were ginormous.
Yeah. The ecosystem was, like you said, you put a lizard in a glass case, and the lizard would grow according to its environment.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So just think about that with other creatures like dinosaurs.
Just imagine Earth as a ginormous glass case.
Right. Have you ever seen those little tiny ecosystems?
Oh, yeah.
How would you feel if,
For sure.
Just pour water in that thing, dude, and then shake it around.
Oh, yeah, and then then you're being like God. You're just, here it comes the judgment. Just drowned all your ants. You ever have an ant farm, Jared?
No, but I've seen them outside and pretended they were mine.
Did you flood them?
What about the magnifying glass?
Oh, burn them. For sure. That's coming next, but we'll talk about that some other day.
Yeah, that's in the end.
You can't?
No, it's spotty. It's like, I hear some things and not others.
That's a shame. That means we're going to lose Jared here pretty soon.
No, we can't lose him.
We ain't quitting you. We ain't gonna quit you.
So, have you burnt ants or have you drowned them?
I've done anything you can do to an ant.
Put them in cement.
I've actually
he's done that.
An ant like an uncle.
You're not supposed to do that.
That's probably the worst I've done.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Ants don't like being treated like uncles.
So tell me something about this worldwide flood.
Well, I mean, look, it is said to be the judgment of God, like you said earlier. It's the
he cut out.
Did he cut out? Yeah. It's the judgment of God on the sins of man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the crux of it. We talked about this before. You know, when you're born, you're made in the image of God, and the darkness didn't come right away. It's not like when Adam and Eve sinned, they were all of a sudden darkness. That darkness developed over generations until eventually everybody on the planet was just all about themselves, doing things that were dark,
that were right in their own eyes,
doing what was right in their own eyes. They didn't have any direction. They didn't have any idea or any heart toward God, and they were doing wickedness. And finally, he had enough.
Yeah,
he's like, here we go. But look, that's not uncommon to, people get mad because we say it was a judgment of God. But look, there's certain judgments for sins. Jordan Peterson pointed out in one of his theological.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, you like Jordan?
Yeah.
Jordan's a baller. I like Jordan, but look, theologically, he's a train wreck. But when he isolates these stories, though, in his lectures, and talks about them from a psychological standpoint, he's brilliant. One thing he pointed out was Katrina, right? Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
And he made the flood story synonymous kind of just with the sins or corruption of human beings. When you build a town or make a city under
sea level, right?
And it's
how did it get under sea level in the first place?
They built it there because they built levees to block the water.
Yeah.
But
because of the flood,
because of their corruption in the city, they did not build the levees and did not maintain the levees to the standard that they needed to save the people. They were taking that money and stealing it and running it and doing what politicians do all the time. And so when the waters came, their sin was revealed in that their town flooded.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's how he laid it out. He's like, so when people get mad that we're calling it the judgment of God, that's a judgment of sin.
Right.
You took the money that was given to you to maintain the levee. There's places all over the world that are built under sea level and have levees that are fortified.
Yeah.
Fortified to the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
That aren't going to break, barring the actual hand of God smacking it out. You know what I mean? So when you look at Louisiana and Georgia, I think it was Louisiana and Georgia.
Right. Yeah,
and you go, well, what happened to that money that was supposed to go to the levees? You knew the levees were inadequate to withstand a 100-year flood or a 100-year storm, which was coming. And yet they didn't do anything about it. And that was the consequence.
Right. So, okay, that's a local flood, though. We're talking about local flood in that area, but we're talking what the myth is, or what the truth is when the flood happened in the Bible, it was a worldwide flood.
Yeah, it was worldwide.
It was a worldwide flood. You have history of the Incas who have a flood story. You have here, I'm going to pull it out, but there was a whole list of people who had these stories.
Share it.
So let me find that really quick. But yeah, the Incas were one. I've heard that those are the only ones
we'll pull up the list. We'll read the whole list for the people. We got time, people, here at the GOAD dungeon. We got time. It's daylight savings. It's not going to be dark until like 9:30.
Sorry that Jared got cut off. I mean, we would rather him here, but he had to work.
He had to work. He's a working man. Lately, he's been crazy working, but we'll get him back here in the dungeon at some point. Or we'll figure out this thing. He moved also, which is kind of a challenge. But we will get him back. Just, you know what would actually be really helpful, since I have your attention here on Facebook Live. And afterwards is just send a note. Make a comment, send a like, say, hey, where's Jared? He's the best one, or something. Whatever you want to do. Encourage him so that he comes back. Hey, here on the lighter side, check this out. Got me a haircut. See this? This is, I mean, it's not did up. You know what I'm saying? But
all right, so we have Deucalion, the Pyra, Greek mythology, the Genesis flood narrative, Pralaya, Hinduism, Junyu, Chinese. That's the one I was looking for. The Chinese, the Bergamalier, the Norse mythology, Cessair, the Irish mythology, the Quiche, Maya peoples in Mesoamerica, Lac Court Orioles, Ojibwa of Native Americans in North America, the Muisca. There's a bunch of them, dude. That all have stories of a worldwide flood.
Right. So then how do you look at that and pretend like it didn't happen? Like, and those are people from all over the world.
Yeah, different parts of the world. We got the Americas in there. We have Asia in there. There's, Africa is in there. So, yeah, there is no way that you have all of these stories of a worldwide flood and say that it is not true. But then people want to believe, like you said a little while ago, how, there was a meteor that came and destroyed all of the dinosaurs off the face of the earth.
Right. Which could be partly true. I mean, meteors probably were involved in that flood aspect at some level, I would imagine.
maybe coming up out of the ground.
But they weren't the primary, like they say, just this giant rock coming out of space.
Oh, yeah.
And pummeled them. I mean, I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah, no way. And then there was an axis shift. And then which also created, because the earth is filled with magma, metals,
iron,
yeah. And then it sends off electromagnetic,
right,
which actually helps us
right.
in a mighty way, from all of the cosmic rays from getting in and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's kind of funny because if the earth was too big, there'd be too much. Nobody would be able to live on it. If it was too small, it'd be too little.
Right.
Which nobody would be living on it. So those electromagnetic waves are perfect.
Perfect for sustaining the environment.
And everything.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Gravity.
But, yeah, so you have all of this happening, and then people don't want to believe it because it's in the Bible. But
right.
My question is, instead of just attacking the Bible, why don't you attack all these other civilizations that have the same worldwide flood story?
Right. I don't think there's a lot of those flood stories, though, that are saying that's how the dinosaurs died, and we're the one outlier that says, hey, guess what? I think the dinosaurs died because of the worldwide flood, not from some asteroid.
Right. So,
unless the Mayans were saying that, maybe they were. I've never read those stories.
I mean, it's good to look those things up. I mean, the Mayans were really smart.
Yeah.
They were really smart, and that civilization has been around for a long time. And then, with all the records that they have, I mean, why wouldn't you want to look at or search these things out? I mean, I'm very interested in searching these things out because it is a validation of the flood story in the Word of God.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing you can always be sure of is that if you decide to live a life that is completely selfish, self-centered, full of envy and lust and greed and all that, eventually a flood comes. Judgment comes.
Yeah, judgment comes, yes.
Darkness overcomes you and judgment comes. And sometimes that's not to over psychologicalize, whatever you want to call it, the word, but you can use that metaphorically.
Yeah.
You're flooded with an emotion, with negative emotions, or you're flooded with darkness. You're flooded with whatever. Judgment comes, man.
Judgment comes.
You can't avoid what you're storing up for yourself. If it's negative, if all you're doing is selfish things and putting yourself first and nobody else, that's arguably what they were doing pre-Diluvian.
Yeah.
Was putting themselves first, seeking after all their own hearts and desires, regardless of what was true or right or pure. And that's what happens.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you follow your own heart. I mean, the Bible specifically says that it's desperately wicked and sick, and like who can know the heart? And that's one of the things I'm gonna make a recluse one podcast.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be called Pet Peeves. So, and I had my wife list all kinds of pet peeves that I have.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna.
How many do you have?
I asked her for 10, and
you have 10 pet peeves.
I even have more than that.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of peeves.
And she put like the number 10 like 3 times.
Really?
So there's 1 through 9, and then 10 3 times. So one of my pet peeves is how people these days will be like, just follow your own heart. Do what your heart tells you.
Find your truth.
Do it. Yeah, find your truth. Do what you're feeling. Everything matters about how you feel. I mean, look what happened to these people with the way they were living.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord sent a flood, and only 6 people were allowed to live.
They enjoyed their lives. 8 people.
8 people. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 8 people were allowed to live, and they were supposed to repopulate the earth. And what happens?
They repopulate the earth.
And homeboy got all blasted.
Yeah, but I mean, look, dude. Okay. In his defense, he was on a boat for a real long time with family. And by the way, he didn't just get off the boat and go on a bender.
Right.
He had to grow the grapes first. You don't grow a vineyard in 2 days.
In 2 days, right. Yeah, of course you don't grow a vineyard in 2 days. But, I mean, so this is one thing that I heard, okay? I'm not saying I believe it. Plausible, but I don't know. Fermentation process. Did it happen before or after the flood?
Well, why would it be different?
Because of the ecosystem being destroyed.
I don't know. Well, look, I mean, we would be arguing from a we're not qualified for that.
Yeah, we're not. But what do you think?
I say, look, I say, to what was there any extent before the flood that he talked about being a drunkard? Maybe not. It was too early civilization, but
afterwards,
afterwards for sure. But how did he?
People want to say when death entered the world, then that's probably when
the fermentation
process started
was
to happen,
possible,
which is plausible.
Sure,
which is probably what people would probably lean more towards.
Sure,
but what about the whole ecosystem that was destroyed with the cosmic rays now coming in? I mean, it's destroying our skin as we speak.
I think
the UV rays. I talked to you guys about laminin before.
Yep.
About the cross-shaped cells that we have on our skin.
Yes. We have a picture of it.
Right. The cosmic rays are killing that off.
Right.
Each and every single day. That's why people don't live to thousands of years any longer.
Right. I would say that it seemed like it would be more God style to. I think he's liked that grape for a long time.
Well, he said he wouldn't drink it.
He wouldn't drink
until he comes back.
Yeah, but
with us.
But he has like an insurmountable number of psalms or proverbs or statements saying how it brings joy to your heart,
merry,
how it makes your heart merry.
Yeah.
And he goes, look, you can have a little bit and make your heart merry. Don't go so far as to making yourself an ass. Right. Take the keys away.
Take the keys away.
Don't be that guy.
Right.
You shouldn't be so merry in your heart that you're walking around going, I love you. You know what I love about you.
I mean, just imagine that miracle that Jesus did. His first miracle
with wine,
with water.
Dude.
I mean, what kind of fermentation process was that?
Dude, that's a master of time and space right there. You don't even question that.
That's like going through a black hole and then coming back.
Dude, he aged those grapes like a minute.
It was water.
It was water. And then he created the wine. Best tasting wine. That's time.
They're like, usually the good stuff is first, but you save the good stuff for last? Just imagine how obviously, they drank the good stuff first.
They did. And then they had better
stuff.
By the gallons, dude.
Dude, gallons.
I mean, he was a brewery. Jesus
the reason why he
like
did
a
that,
microbrew.
He was doing that because he obeyed his mom.
Yeah, he was obeying.
He was obeying the fifth commandment.
Yeah. So he was just. I mean, look, it was. Hey, woman, what do I got to do with these people? She was like, never mind. Make them some wine.
Make them some wine. All right, Mom.
Hey, first of all, how did she know he could do that?
Well, I'm sure he performed something in front of her. That was his first public.
Yeah.
Miracle recorded.
See, so I mean,
who knows? I mean, just imagine. What if he got cut one day and just like, no more cut.
Right, no more cut.
What happened?
Right. I think God's a big fan of the fermented grape. And he gave it to us because he knew life was going to suck. At some point, life was going to suck. You're going to need a little bit of wine. I mean, even Stephen.
How about some cheese with that wine?
Right. I mean, I don't want to go to Nineveh. That sounds like that's the Luke Skywalker version. That's the Bible story of Luke. That's Jonah right there. If Jonah were Luke Skywalker, he would say, I don't want to go to the Nineveh system. Right? And Yoda would just, oh my God,
you go.
The best thing that ever happened to Anakin Skywalker is that he turned to the dark side and put on a black helmet.
Dude, not only a black helmet, he was biomechanical.
Yeah, that's
bro.
right. Then he stopped whining so much. For God's sakes, those Skywalkers can whine.
They've been drinking a lot of wine.
Dude, and they're a mess.
So, no stance?
No, I don't have a stance on that because I don't. What stance do you take on whether or not there's fermentation before or after the flood?
So, but those were your thoughts. God is a fan of wine.
I think he's a fan of wine. I mean, he gave it to us because I think he gave it to us for sure. And then it's one of those things that you can have. You should have it and just not overindulge in it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like Paul told Stephen that he was like, "Look, man, have a little wine to settle your stomach."
Timothy,
my bad. Yeah, Stephen
Yeah,
died.
right.
Sorry, Steve.
You know,
It was a bad dream Paul was having
like,
after he held all the coats of the people who smoked Stephen. He was just like, "Hey,
dude.
Steve, have some wine." No, it's not Steve. I'm
It's
sorry,
not
Tim. I'm
Steve.
sorry,
Timmy.
Timmy.
Dude, so all right, back to flood stories.
Flood stories.
So we have records of different rocks and stuff like that, like because of the, what do you call that top layer?
Sediment
layer. And then the scientists want to say that it's because of age and time and all these things. But what about the bones? Like different bones of different types of animals that wind up in caves and stuff like that, like all together, which these animals would never, ever hang out together.
Right.
So there's records all over the place. And then you got footprints of dinosaurs next to footprints of men, and all these things. And then it's like people just want to instead of searching these things out for themselves, they just want to believe in anything that goes against.
They're just like, the Bible says it, then it must not be true. It's a presupposition that they use to.
And that's why I'm saying, like, instead of just wiping it out, why don't you just search these things out for yourself?
Yeah, now we have something that's not just in the Bible. It's a well-documented event.
Yeah.
A well-documented event by many, 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 many different cultures that talked about a world flood that wiped people out. Everybody. Everything on land. Of course, it kept... I think that's maybe why we still have these ginormous sea creatures.
Yeah.
And why do you have, like octopus?
Octopi.
Dude, octopuses. That's the plural. Octopuses. I like saying that's the one my favoriteest plural.
Hippopotamuses.
Hippopotamus. They are my look, out of my favorite sea animals there are sharks, which I love. Dolphins are great. But octopuses, dude, those are aliens.
Octopi.
Straight up freaking weird sea creatures.
Not only those, but squid.
Squid are weird too. I don't know. Do squid though mimic other animals?
Oh no, that's right. Huh?
Octopus,
Octopi
they do their little thing. They mimic crabs and they mimic other things. Dude, they're smart. Dude, they're a weird.
Smart. That's crazy, dude. Because but that's how God fashioned them to be.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
It amazes me.
That's the show off.
That is the show off.
That's when you're talking about giving God glory for things. You just look at, maybe you can't give God glory for human beings anymore for some reason because you're accustomed to us being around. Although human beings are pretty freaking amazing.
Right.
Look at an octopus and tell me you're not floored. Dude, they're one of my favorites, dude.
Dude, jellyfish?
Jellyfish are awesome. What are those? Really? Some gelatinous mass that hurts when you touch it?
Right. It's
like,
I don't get it.
What is the purpose of that?
I don't know, but I know my brother got stung by one before.
That can't be fun.
It was kind of funny.
Does it hurt for a long time?
I guess it feels like a burn. So you just get like burnt.
Dude, I got jabbed in the foot by a stingray. Dude, stingrays are nutso too.
Dude, stingrays are crazy.
Dude, they got that little mouth and the eyes underneath that looks like they're always smiling.
Yeah.
But they can't ever see where they're going, which is weird.
Have you ever seen those fish that are like flat?
Yeah, funky designs, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. But those things survived.
They survived.
Whales
are as big as they are. Can you imagine whales bigger?
Dude.
I have to think that like those things are about as big now as they were then.
What about the megalodon?
Like the blue whale?
Dude,
a blue whale is about the size of whatever ancient dinosaur you can think of.
Right.
It's a big-ass fish.
Yeah.
That's not a fish. What an idiot.
It's a whale.
This guy's not a...
Yeah,
it's a whale.
It's a mammal.
It's fish.
Sharks are fish.
Sharks are...
Dolphins can beat sharks up.
I saw that on Flipper. I grew up watching
remember
Flipper.
that?
Yeah, Flipper. Just, he smoked himself some sharks.
Boom.
Boom with the nose.
Yeah, with the nose, dude.
They're smart.
They are smart. I like dolphins, too.
That's because they're...
I don't like those ugly ones with the big forehead.
Those are weird.
And the small snout.
But at the same time, very, amazing.
They are very amazing. They're fast.
Yeah, they're fast.
And friendly.
Dude, crocodiles or alligators?
Crocs.
Crikey.
Crikey.
Speaking of stingrays.
Aguilators.
And whatever that guy's name that got jabbed in the heart by one.
Steve
Irwin.
Yeah. His son is just like him.
Just like him, yeah.
Exactly like that guy. Those people fascinate me. That kid fascinates me.
Yeah,
he knows so much about animals.
I bet you he'll still go swimming with stingrays, though,
I'm
even
sure
after one smoked his dad.
Right. That's funny. The alligator hunter gets smoked by a stingray.
He did, yeah. No, was he alligator hunter? Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's he's
the crocodile
hunter. Yeah. That guy.
Dude, have you seen how big those are?
Dude, they're ginormous.
Dude, those things get huge.
Yes.
That thing's a dinosaur on its own.
That is for sure a dinosaur. You look at a little lizard like this big, you see them all the time.
Dude, right here on the wall.
On the wall. And then look at an alligator.
Dude.
Are those the same? They got to be in the same family.
Camilla dragons.
Yeah. Dragons that dress up as people?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They disguise themselves as
human beings.
Oh. Yeah. And they eat synthetic food.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? We know. Okay. Look, you hang out here at GOAD and you learn stuff. Well, stuff you didn't think you wanted to learn, but you learned it. You can't unlearn it now that you've heard it.
Dude. Yeah, Camilla dragons. You never heard of those things?
Mm-mm.
Those are the one known actual dinosaur these days. Like, they actually still call it a dinosaur.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, I think everything is a dinosaur. I was staring face to face with a seagull the other day, and I thought, you're a dinosaur. You're like a little dinosaur. You little weird-looking creature.
Dude, birds are weird.
Yeah, they are weird.
I hate especially when you first, wash your car.
Dude.
And then all of a sudden, you come back from work. You're coming back to your car from work. You're about to sit down, and all you see is just a big turd right there. On your windshield and on your...
Dude, I'm a fan, dude. I'm a fan of anything that can defy gravity on purpose and just doesn't care where it lays an egg. You know what I mean? That's freedom.
Eagles can build nests up to 15 feet, as big as that pool that we have back
that's... How many eggs can they lay?
I don't know.
That's too big for one egg.
No, it's more than one egg.
It's got to, right?
It's a few eggs. I mean, just imagine a nest and having a bunch of little eaglets, and they have a wingspan.
Is that what they're called, eaglets?
Yeah. And having a wingspan of what when they're born?
6 feet? When they're big.
When they're big, but they don't leave, I think, until after 15 weeks or something like that. I forgot how long it is, but just imagine all those birds that are in there. They need a big nest.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's a mansion, dude. That's not that's Upper West Side.
That's crazy. Eagles.
Yeah, eagles.
Dude, eagles are probably my favorite.
Dude, eagles seem like they're looking at you and figuring out complex equations. That's what eagles look. They're just staring into your soul, maybe trying to figure out how to...
So did the birds die during the flood?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A bunch of them, right?
All of them.
He only kept, a dove and a...
That's it, two of each.
Right.
A couple pigeons, a couple doves.
But then he had a special...
he had raven, too, because he sent the raven out and never came back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had a special... I mean, he still had to sacrifice.
By the way, if you're going to...
At the end, he had to sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah.
So he had, spare.
Right. Oh, yeah, he had spare.
And then he had his dove and a raven.
Well, the raven goes out, it doesn't come back. And by the way, that's the kind of bird you don't want coming back. Those freaking things are loud, dude. They wake me up at 5:30 on a Sunday. Yeah. And they're having a freaking conversation like an old grumpy couple outside my window on a Sunday morning at 5:30.
Kind of bird you don't want to come
right?
back.
So you don't want that bird coming back. So he goes out and he dies, and he's got a couple, and then he sends out the dove. It comes back with an olive branch in its beak.
And that's how it should. That's how he knew that the earth was okay to
drying up.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, he made it out.
He made it out.
You can make it out of the floods.
He, his wife, his 3 kids, and
His whole his family.
Yeah, their wives.
Shem, Ham, Japheth. You know, they all made it out. And then one dude decides that after he there's another thing. That's another episode, man.
Do you
the perversity of Noah's family is just a weird look. They were hard up, no question. There's only 8 of them. You know.
Yeah, I mean they had to repopulate the earth.
So homegirls get a little wily after the dad gets lit, and then
no, isn't that Lot?
Is that Lot? No,
that's Lot.
Is that Lot?
That's Lot.
I've conflated 2 Bible stories. It's my bad. And then but Ham looks at his father's nakedness, whatever that means, starts telling people about him.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Should we discuss it?
I don't know. We can if you want to. Go for it.
I don't know.
We're freeballing at this point. So you got the flood.
So we got
then the post flood. Right? So he's built a vineyard now. This has been some time.
Yeah, it's crazy because you got the righteousness of Noah. You have him as a righteous man. He makes it into the Hall of Faith. He's one of the guys, a great cloud of witnesses that surrounds us that we could look at and say, all right, that guy had the faith, and he didn't see God. He didn't have Jesus.
Right.
He just had faith.
Yeah.
But now me, knowing that the Lord is still alive, it's like, okay, we have that great cloud of witnesses. But just imagine, pre-flood righteousness kind of didn't end up.
Dude, look, the righteousness is seen in the fact that he spent 120 years building a boat in a time when you didn't need a boat.
Right.
I mean,
or nobody knew what a boat was.
Nobody knew what a boat was.
Yeah. Or an ark for the matter.
So when God... So this should intrigue at least some people, whether you believe in God or not, or whether you believe in aliens did it all, who knows, whatever. Somebody gave Noah the blueprints to a boat.
Yeah.
A very large boat.
A very large boat that can withstand storms.
Dude, it was engineered.
Dude, it can
proper.
hold 2 of every single animal.
So
with room to spare.
So give answer to that then. So I go, hey, I've been around a long time. Right? How did you fit all those? How did you fit all those animals, 2 of each animal, on a freaking boat? Do you know how big bears are?
Yeah.
So what's that answer to that?
What would be the answer? God called them.
You
got different decks,
but nobody said they were full grown.
Well, I mean,
right?
Yeah, nobody said that either. And then, man,
they're like baby. Why can't you have baby animals?
Well, they actually, I mean, I guess you can, but for 40 days, and then they needed to repopulate again.
Right, but by the time
then you had
drives out,
you had the main species of animal.
Yeah, so wolf.
A
couple wolves,
because bear is in wolf family.
No.
Yes. I mean, bear is in the dog family.
Bear is in the dog family.
Yes.
I object.
No. Look it up.
Hey Siri. Is bear in the dog family?
I object.
Here's what I found from Wikipedia.org. Bears are carnivore mammals of the family Ursidae. They are classified as caniforms, or dog-like carnivorians.
What?
Dog-like carnivorians.
Yeah.
That's from the planet Carnivore.
Cavanor? From the planet Cavanor.
They're
okay.
That's funky.
It is funky, but yeah. Okay, so species of every single animal, the main where they came from.
Yeah, like the root.
Yeah.
Let's just call them like root species or whatever they're called, right? So that would be like wolves for dogs.
Could be baby animals.
We don't even actually know, do we? I mean, we don't know how many species there were of anything at a particular time. But people are thinking, when you say 2 of each kind, they're thinking Chihuahuas, Dalmatians, German Shepherds. Right. They're thinking coyotes.
And it was not like that.
It wasn't like that.
It was wolf.
Just the main dog, wolf.
Of course, and then elephant.
And yes, your Chihuahua came from a wolf.
I know, both of them.
Right, so that's...
and they're still mixed.
Right. That's proof of evolution.
No, that's de-evolution.
That's if you go from a wolf to a chihuahua, you went from a predator to a prey. That's not good.
That's not
it's
good
not good
at all. Yeah, it doesn't fit.
No, you want to stay as high up in the food chain as possible, and chihuahua
is not.
Yeah, and that was our fault, by the way,
but
because
it's
we
kind
bred
of
them
funny
that
because
way.
they think they're the biggest things in the world.
They have to.
Yeah.
It's like that snake that strikes with its tail.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's crazy.
You know, it just, what else is it going to do? It knows it can't hurt you.
Anaconda?
Anacondas are cool.
I mean, was that the snake?
In the garden?
And
I don't know. Could have been.
Boat, on the boat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a baby snake. It wasn't a 40-foot anaconda.
Yeah, no way.
There's no way you wouldn't have any animals left. You know how much it costs to feed an anaconda?
Well, whatever it was 2 of each animal.
Did you ever watch, you ever see Nature's Metal? Watch an anaconda eat an alligator? Oh, dude, it is amazing.
That's crazy. So, okay. So we had pre-flood, flood, post-flood.
Post-flood.
Dude gets drunk.
However many years later.
Or weeks, or however long it takes to grow grapes. Okay, he still had to till the ground. He had to be dominant. He still had the call of the same call as Adam and Eve.
Same call. He reestablished his covenant with Noah
to dominate the earth,
right,
and to fill it,
to manage it and fill it,
to be fruitful and multiply.
Yep.
He established a covenant. We see it in there. He sacrificed.
Yep.
So, but then, dude, I mean, what gave him the idea
to get drunk?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he didn't mean to.
That's what I'm saying.
But was
it because a fermentation process didn't happen yet?
That happened. No, I just don't think they drank that much wine before, and it was a happy accident. He's just like, whoa, I feel good right now, and then he drinks more and he falls asleep, and then that's when the bad stuff happens.
So
that's why you shouldn't be drunkards,
right? And then what happens during that time?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what happens during that time. We know for a fact that Ham somehow humiliated his father.
Right. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. Now,
so was it?
And the 10 Commandments haven't been around yet.
Right.
Right. So it's not. So we're not talking about honoring your father and your mother, but that might be a root of that.
I'm sure. I'm sure it was still there.
You know, you run out of the tent. You go, oh my God! Have you seen Dad naked?
I'm sure
he's got hair everywhere.
I'm still sure that was a moral law.
Just making, it's a. Well, the law isn't the law until God says it's the law, right? So it's, God says.
It's kind of interesting, huh? Because then, concubines.
He's knocking it out with all kinds of people,
with all
doing
kinds
whatever.
Of people,
yeah.
And so, okay.
Not that Noah was doing that. We're just
right.
We're not.
But
complete.
Other people did.
Yeah, other people did.
So what do you think he did? What was the?
I think he just humiliated his dad. He saw his father's nakedness and laughed at him and started.
So some people
defaming him
want to think that he actually had sex with him.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard that.
That's where homosexuality started.
Man, you're really, in my opinion, you'd have to be staring at the pages a long time,
right,
to see that.
I said some people. I don't necessarily believe in that. I think he was just laughing at his dad and saying, "Hey, look, Dad's naked. Look at this fool. He's drunk. He's an idiot, and now he's naked." But then the two brothers, Japheth
and
Shem,
walk
backwards, cover him up, and then
yep.
So they took care of his father.
Yeah, they took care of him without looking at him.
Was that worthy of banishment?
It was to Ham. It was to Noah.
Right.
It was something pretty serious then, where you don't humiliate your parents.
Right.
And whether the law existed then or not, still doesn't change the fact that in a lot of cultures around the world, even today, you don't dishonor your family.
What nation came out of
Ham?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Me either. But there was a nation that came out of that wasn't Edom, no, that's Esau, huh?
I don't remember.
I forget.
Honestly. It's been so long since I looked at it.
But humiliation.
You can put it in the comments. If you happen to be watching, you can put it in the comments. Where did Ham It's going to slip right off my tongue here pretty soon. I remember.
Yeah.
It's like right there, but I can't.
Something came out of it.
I'm not going to waste airtime trying to think of.
Right. And so, okay. Flood stories, bro. I love it.
All over.
Dude.
They're all over the place, man. You know, it's like fascinating with flood stories being all over is it's like I wonder how much they're connected to the idea of that obelisk being all over the world too. Yeah. When you look at the Tower of Babel, and then you look at the fact that the Mayans had an obelisk form. You look at the pyramids. There are certain things that have spread around the world in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I mean, other religions sacrifice.
Yeah.
I mean, they worship a god. I mean, there's this need to want to be in a relationship with something greater than you.
Right.
Whatever that may be. But there's only one truth. There was only one person that we should. But around the world, I mean, what gave them these ideas in the first place?
Yeah.
Like you said, Tower of Babel, dispersed, different language creates different races.
Right.
Different parts of the earth.
Well, you get the Tower of Babel where everybody is about the same, violating kind of what God told them, which is spread out, multiply, and they're all going to hang out here and build an obelisk for some reason as to reach God or to whatever their motives were. And then God says, let's spread them out.
Right.
Confuses their language, and then they spread out over the world, and by means of evolution, if you will, their skin gets darker or lighter. Adaptation. Their eyes change, things change. That's where different races came from. You follow this thing back far enough, you get to a place where you don't have races.
Right.
So the fact that we're in America right now, and as we speak and as we're doing this podcast, there are riots all over America right now because of George Floyd's death and that cop sitting on his neck for 9 minutes.
Right.
And it only always spurs this racist kind of this racism underneath. And to the extent, and I'm talking about racism, I'm not talking about things that you might say that go, like you talk to your kids, you talk to Danae or I talk to Abby, and I'll make some joke about something. She goes, "Oh, that's racist." I'm like, it's only racist if I hate the race.
Right.
Like I mean it as something as a joke or as a stereotype. Asians can't drive, for instance. That's not racist. I love Asians. You can only call it racist, I think, if you hate the race. And there's no hating a race when races don't originally exist.
Oh,
I don't want to step on you know what I mean? I don't want to cross too many lines, but I'm just saying that, look, we're all human beings.
All human beings.
In this weird...
all the human race.
All given different things in different places. We all have the same or similar struggles, and we're just trying to make it through this life.
Yeah.
And to the extent that you want to oblige by the Spirit and put other people first, and be controlled by love and peace and patience, then you will live. Then your life will be one of peace.
Right.
But to the extent that you want to live your life in hatred and envy and jealousy and whatever else, just know that there's a flood coming.
There will a fire.
Fire, floods.
Dude.
There's judgment coming, and you might witness it in your own life now, or you definitely witness it later.
Just think of it. Noah was building the ark for the whole world at the time, and nobody wanted to go in with him.
Oh, right.
They were coming up against him.
They're like, "What are you doing? What is that?
Yeah.
What is that thing you built?"
It's like, what is that thing?
That's a boat. You're like, "What's a boat?"
Right. And so the Lord, through his long suffering, he gives us chances.
Yeah.
And that's what was their chance, and they rejected God. They rejected God's word. And that's what's happening now. It's like you want to live in peace. You want to do this. And so that flood passed. Like you said, more judgments are coming. But where is your heart in all of it? Where are people's hearts? Mm-hmm. They're far from God when they're filled with hate, when they're filled with violence, when they're filled with wrath and envy and all these horrible things that our hearts produce. That's a That's produce from our heart, from a I don't know how to say it, from a fleshly heart, from a heart without God. That's how we are.
Yep.
We're in enmity with Him. We don't want nothing to do with Him, and all that stuff. But at the same time, He gives us grace so that He can show us that there is a way out, and that way out of all this madness and all this other stuff before judgment comes is the gospel.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what it's all about, just sharing the gospel of peace. And that's what Noah was doing.
Yeah. Well,
and nobody believed him.
Nobody knew it. Like, he had sacrificed 120 years of his life to build his ark.
Right.
To save people out of faith.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the what love is. I mean, yeah, scarcely will a man die for somebody else. Maybe he'll die for a friend. But real love, the love that we're called to, is, are you willing to die for a perfect stranger? And are you willing to die for somebody you consider an enemy?
Yeah.
Are you willing to set your own desires and your own self aside for the safety and security of even somebody that might consider you their enemy? And that's what Jesus did.
Yeah.
When he took that cross. When he took all those sins upon himself for even his enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the single story of love that changes hearts.
Love changes hearts.
And then, of course, the resurrection, because you can't beat Jesus.
Right.
He's not staying down.
Death can't beat him.
Nope, death can't beat him. So look, I mean, this is the floods come in a lot of different ways. We were talking about a literal flood that happened a long time ago that was talked about from all nations and tribes of people who have attested to it.
There are local floods, by the way. There are local. We didn't get too much into that, and we didn't get into the promise afterwards of the rainbow.
Right.
That God promised He wouldn't flood the earth again, and then people want to say, what about all these floods that are happening across the nation? Those are local floods.
Local floods.
That's different than a worldwide flood. He said He would never flood the whole earth again.
Hey, look, man, if your city gets flooded because your government didn't build levees, that's on you.
Yeah.
Right? That's the consequences of that sin.
And that's the consequence of, I guess, the voters? I don't know.
Well, maybe. Well, look, you can vote for people who you think are, good shape and who mean well.
Right.
They always say they mean well.
Yeah, but then they're really not.
As soon as they get their hands on the money.
Oh, man, yeah.
And I'm not talking trash about any particular government, because I have had a change of mind as far as how I talk trash about my leaders. But you should keep your hands out of the bank, is what I'm saying. Spend that money on what people hired you to spend that money on. And then when the flood comes, you'll be able to survive it. But if But if you don't spend the money on the levees that is designated for the levees because you spent it on girlfriends, jets, and cocaine, then I don't know what to tell you, man. When the flood comes, you're screwed.
Yeah. Like you said, that's the sin. That's the result of sin.
It's a result.
So, all right. I said the local floods.
Yeah, local floods.
And then the promise of God through a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that was the first ever rainbow.
That was the first ever rainbow.
That was the first ever rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you know what that word actually means? I don't know the actual word, but it means God's bow. His bow. And it's pointing up.
Yeah. I like
it. It's crazy. Because of the animosity of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah. There's a lot of symbolism in the Bible.
Dude, a lot. If you're open to hearing it. I mean, if you have eyes to hear, ears to hear, or ears to hear, eyes to see. Look, again, dude, it's late. We do these podcasts late.
Dude, a long time ago, you know how sometimes in crosswalks you hear the beep, beep,
oh, yeah,
beep?
All the time.
My friend one time, he's like, that's for the deaf.
Yeah, it's for it's for the deaf. Yeah, so you hear it.
No, it's for the blind.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
That's what he just said. We hear through our eyes.
Well, yeah, because that's why like subtitles are for the blind.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. That's why we need subtitles, people.
Oh, my goodness.
So, flood.
Stay away from it.
righteousness.
Too much water is not good.
Yeah, never good. I like rain though. I love it when it rains.
I'm only happy when it rains.
Oh man.
I'm only happy when it's complicated.
So, before that goes a little too far,
as if
again, I apologize that we couldn't get Jared on here. Like more. Jared, if you're watching, we love you.
Jared.
We should have did that when it happened.
Oh.
It's already
well,
too
we're
late
often
for that.
too late to show remorse. It's often too late to show remorse. Like after the flood comes, no more time for remorse.
Yeah, no more.
You're
done. You're wiped. But okay. Never mind. So
you digress?
Yeah. What are we doing? We're saying bye?
Are you saying bye?
Are you?
Are we?
I don't know.
Hey, you guys have been really great. It's been a few weeks since we've been here doing this in the dungeon, and we appreciate your downloads, and we appreciate your likes, and we appreciate your subscriptions, and we appreciate all of that. And we love your comments.
Please
and
comment.
We love your shares.
Please
and
comment.
I know it sounds like we're giving you a job because that's a lot, but it's really only going to take like a minute, if that, to share, comment, like, subscribe,
do what you got to do.
Go out on the mountaintops and shout GOAD to everybody.
Yeah, 2 minutes tops.
But we appreciate and we love you guys, and we thank you for joining us
Thank you for
here this evening. GOAD out.
Out.